It is the ultimate opening night. Season opener, MCG, grand final rematch, and a full house. And it's right here on Fox Footy, brought to you by McCain. How good to see crowds streaming in the home of football right now. There's going to be 70,000 plus. The boys have been out warming up for the last couple of hours. We've got Nick Riewoldt and Jonathan Brown, as we've had for a couple of years, but we've stretched the salary cap and we've added plenty through the middle, and is a big welcome for the first time to Nathan Buckley to Fox Footy. Welcome, Bucks.
Boys. Mate, aren't you up and about?
Oh, yeah.
It's great to be back at the home of footy and to see this game come about, and also to see you so up. It's a great night.
It's been a long time coming, Rui and Brownie. We've been here many times over the last couple of years where we haven't had the atmosphere. How nice to see so many people here, full house, and a great game.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good evening to you guys. I mean, this is the heartbeat of the city, isn't it? And we almost had a false dawn last year when we showed up for round one. It got taken away from us all really quickly. And the thing that stands out tonight is it's not just this man with a smile on his face. All the people that we're looking at walk through the stands, taking their seats. Everyone has got a massive smile on their face.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I can't believe we let a squib midfielder in amongst the forward mafia. What's going on, Gary?
I thought you had
Did you
more
tick this off or not?
No, went above my head. Hey, this is what's coming up. We've got an unfurling of the flag, which will be a really moving and emotional moment, given that none of these people, or very few of them, were able to be at the ground for the groundbreaking win last year. So that's going to be great. This rivalry we'll talk about, it continues to grow. And then some of the greatest names in the competition are going to go head-to-head. There are some late outs here, which I think are significant we need to tell you about. Lever out for Melbourne, Tomlinson in. That's 4 of their premiership back group are out. And then from a Western Bulldogs point of view, Martin and Lockie Hunter goes out of the 22 onto the sub-best. We'll talk to Tom Morris later. Gardner Crozier come in. What's it mean? Is there any significance to it?
Well, I think the Melbourne back six has been a very important part of their setup and their intercept marking and their capacity to come back. So it's got to have some impact on the game.
As far as the Western Bulldogs go, the issue coming in is where they're getting the goals from. Obviously a big reliance on Aaron Norton with Josh Bruce's injury late last year. Tim English showed some good signs early last year as a key forward. He's obviously not going to be able to spend much time forward tonight. Obviously, he'll be shouldering a big load in the ruck there, really.
Yeah, Steph Martin out. That's alarm bells because Melbourne absolutely smacked them at stoppage in that grand final. What I think is fascinating about the dynamic of tonight is this is not the scene of the crime for the Melbourne Football Club. Yeah. So they're back here tonight. They spoke in the immediate aftermath about wanting to do it in front of their fans, in front of their families. So the fact that we're back at the G tonight, does it carry a different feeling for you coming to the footy tonight?
You know what it does, and I would say this, I would hope that the Melbourne players don't feel anything like I do. Because I'm not, we always have a bit of a knot in our guts when we come to watch our team play. I don't feel it. I'm a bit of a self-satisfied supporter. Yeah. So I'm hoping the players have got none of that. But right now I'm happy to be here. I want us to win. It's not quite the end of the world, that's what... I haven't had that feeling ever as a player or a supporter in my 54 years.
So you've been there coming into a round one after a premiership. How do you avoid that full belly?
Well, that's right. Hopefully you're not fat and happy like Gary, because they'll get smacked off the park tonight.
Oh,
but,
they would.
They would, absolutely. But I think the biggest thing is the message, and, channel Lee Matthews a lot, but he was amazing the way he would just focus on the next season, on the next challenge ahead. And his main message to us always was, you are not there defending anything.
Yeah.
You won the premiership, leave it behind. And that would be not a message just from tonight. That would be the message throughout the whole pre-season. So by the time you do hit this stage, you are fully focused on the coming campaign.
It's a great message, and you've coached a team that was within, so from the other side of it, from Western Bulldogs, what are they doing? What's driving them?
Bevo will have them up. I mean, some of these guys are premiership players, so they know what it feels like to win one. Now they know what it feels like to lose one. They're the best contested ball side in the comp for the last couple of years, and around their numbers at drop of the ball have always been very good. So if Melbourne aren't on their game, they'll get swarmed and they'll get run over.
The AFL have pulled the right card though, Gary. Grand final rematch round one.
They have, Nicholas. We've been watching these boys warm up for a little while. This is all thanks to McCain. Warmed up like a nice chip in the oven. They have. There's something special about it. And we just look at these names, and this is why we're excited. We look at the players out there. Chalor was sensational, got them back into it in that grand final. Now, Cody Waitman, there'd be a couple of Bulldogs players that couldn't wait to get back for a bit of redemption. So there's plenty to get excited about tonight.
The little thing there, I suppose, the added, I'm not sure if it's motivation, but there's a little bit of spite. There's certainly a little minute of rivalry we've spoken about building up. So can the players contain their energy pre-game? This is a big stage. Obviously, everyone's excited to be back at the MCG. The players need to stay calm in these final moments leading into the game.
Great words of advice. These boys are locked and loaded and ready to go. We're at the home of the MCG. One man has made this his home over the journey, and that is the late Shane Warne. Great and much loved part of Fox Sports over the journey, and he'll be remembered in a big way in the appropriate manner over the next couple of weeks. We spare a thought for he and his family. But tonight, a new chapter is going to be written here at the home of sport, the mighty MCG.
Shane Warne, his last test match at the Melbourne Cricket Ground.
Got him! There it is! Wicket number 700! Absolutely brilliant from Shane Warne.
When Warney dies, and this is the thing, his love of St Kilda lives on. That's a beautiful part of our game. How you love a footy and the love for your team, it's unbreakable. Forever. It never dies. So you can imagine how good these Demons felt last year when their team saluted. They've been waiting a lifetime.
After 57 long years, the Demons are premiers in 2021. Extraordinary stuff. Delirious.
Yep, and then there's these Dogs.
Penny got to walk through. Chalor again. 2 in the turn.
Tonight, the 2022 AFL season begins. Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs in the grand final rematch. Hosted by Fox Footy's Big Boppers, Lion, Brown and Revolt.
Welcome back to the magnificent MCG. The stands are filling up and we are gearing up for one of the most special parts of the evening. Melbourne set to unfurl their first flag in 57 years in front of their adoring fans here at the MCG. Demons President Kate Roffey and CEO Gary Kerr really soaking up every minute of this, following all their hard work behind the scenes to help deliver the 2021 Premiership Cup. I've been subbed in because our very own Gary Lyon is downstairs about to take part in the flag formalities. But gents, this is what it's all really about, paying tribute to all those involved in breaking this premiership drought.
Well, what a huge night for all the Melbourne supporters, and then to see the flag unfurled, the rest of the cups come out as well. So I think Purdy and Kate Roffey would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's great, and the administrators get to enjoy it because the players are not involved in this.
Let's head down to the ground for the flag formalities.
The 2021 Premiership flag. It's being presented by some true Melbourne legends and former captains of the club, presenting decades from 1964 to 2021. Our first legends joining us tonight in the carrying of the Premiership flag are Stan Alves, two-time club best and fairest and 4-time state representative honours. Greg Wells, two-time club best and fairest and 5-time state representative honours. Hassan Mann, 3-time premiership player, 3-time club best and fairest and 2-time All-Australian honours. Todd Viney, 2-time club best and fairest, 5-time state and All-Australian representative honours. Gary Lyon, 2-time club best and fairest, 6-time state representative and 5-time All-Australian honours.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem
who work so hard behind the scenes, and of course the fans, denied most of them to attend the grand final last year in Perth, but they're here tonight, boys.
I've never seen past players be embraced and involved as much in celebrations, even in the build-up to the grand final last year, whether that was because it was in Perth and everyone here based in Melbourne sort of had to unite amongst themselves. But these are incredible pictures, considering the drought and all they've gone through to contribute to it.
Well, Gary spoke about it off-air to me. Rod Grinter had put a WhatsApp group together and pulled all of the old players, and I suppose they felt like they were a part of that journey. Interestingly enough, players are in the rooms. They know this is going on, but it's not in their psyche. They're ready to play a game of footy, but this is for the fans.
Yeah, half the players would have forgotten about it already. They'd be heavily focused now. Great for, obviously, the old boys played in the premiership, but the newer guys like Gaz and Jonesy and Todd Viney, this would be a great feeling for them. Obviously, they didn't get to enjoy one themselves, but this would be fantastic because they would have tried their whole career, obviously, to hear the crowd embrace them like this, embrace success.
It was perfectly encapsulated, wasn't it? The heartache, all the ups and downs of breaking this premiership drought, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that was part of the build-up last year. Like, a lot of the tragedy around Melbourne, over particularly more recent history, was spoken about, and I think that's galvanised the football club so that when it culminates in a day like we saw last year in September, all of that emotion came flooding out. I mean, to even see our own, fearless leader, Gary Lyon, shedding tears, and today he had the nerves, he had the excitement. It humanises all of the people that have been involved in the journey.
And how great is it that we can actually get back here for round one? So the grand final and the premiership was won back in Perth. Not in front of as many of the Demon supporters as they would have liked to, but they get to share it with their faithful here and kickstart their defence.
It's a great way to start the year. As you mentioned before, Nick, I think the Premier earns the right to start the season. And to unfurl that flag in front of their home crowd, yes, it's not always going to be a Melbourne team that does it, but they've earned the right. Obviously, these guys want to fight back and get one up on them after the disappointment of the grand final loss.
Well, this is vision of Jason Johannesson pre-game. We're still waiting to hear word out of the Bulldogs camp exactly what's going on with him, whether he's playing or not. So that is one to watch. Bucks, I want to get your perspective from a Western Bulldogs point of view, from a Luke Beveridge point of view. You've come so close last year. How do you attack a fresh season?
Yeah, well, they had to let that one go, and they want to jump into this as quick as possible. As soon as the ball bounces, the first couple of minutes, they'll be in really quick and wanting to set their 2022 off on the right foot.
Well, what a way to start season 2022 with a grand final rematch back here at the MCG. They're expecting over 70,000. It sure is filling up as we speak. Beautiful night in Melbourne.
It is just about the perfect night for a season opener. Look at that, the mighty MCG with the city of Melbourne as the backdrop. Sun just starting to set, and the Western Bulldogs about to come out and start their 2022 campaign, looking for a little bit of redemption. Changes continue, boys. A bit of more carnage in the warm-up. Jason Johannesson now the laid out. Hunter comes back into the starting lineup. Hugo Hagen goes to sub.
So our man Tommy Morris reported on Lockie Hunter. He was right, he was out of the side. Then he was back in, he was wrong. Then he was sub, he was right again. And now, Tommy, you're wrong. You are finally wrong.
You went early.
Went early. Stephen Martin was due to play his 200th game tonight as well. No wonder he hasn't texted me back after I sent a message this morning. But great to see this there. It's the year of redemption, isn't it, for the Dogs? So the big one is obviously Martin out, as we mentioned. A lot falls onto Tim English in the ruck tonight. It's going to carry a big load, Bucks.
Yeah, well, the way that the side's been selected, I'd expect either Gardner or Cordy to be that second ruckman and go forward to provide some of this aerial power that the Bulldogs are going to need. Not so much with Lever and Petty out of the side tonight, but they need to be strong in the air.
Let's not forget this either. These aren't new rules. These are stricter interpretations. We saw it play out in the Amy Community Series. I don't think it's going to be an issue. And here comes the reigning premiers, led by their skipper Max Gawn, and a big moment. The players not involved with the unfurling the flag. Good decision from a coaching point of view?
Absolutely. Their focus is not on what happened last year or the end of last year. They're really wanting to get their season off to a good start.
And there it is. He laid out as well for, if you've just joined us, is Jake Lever is out. Tomlinson comes in. So 4 of their premiership defenders. That was the greatest moment, boys. That man there is the biggest name in footy, if not the biggest, one of the biggest names. To see Ron Barassi with that flag was unbelievable.
How did it feel for you, mate?
I loved it. I get a bigger thrill out of it from a Barassi point of view. just a giant of a man, giant of a figure, and getting, you know, his health is at its absolute peak. So to see him witness it and get involved for that, that was a highlight. And Nathan Jones, which I thought was beautiful. Yeah. But as you boys have rightly pointed out, it counts for nothing. They're all back to even now, and they've got to get the job done. And
pretty settled, Gaz. I wouldn't have thought we were going to see a hell of a lot of change in their game style this year. So similar players out. Yes, their back line, you know, hampered a little bit there, obviously with Petty and Lever out, but they've still got the tools there. They're dominant in that part of the ground. Sorry, both extremities of the ground compared to the Western Bulldogs, I think. So, and that man, how good was he in the grand final? Luke Jackson, he was enormous.
Scary good. I tell you, it's nice and loud here, boys. It is.
You don't reckon these Melbourne players want to come back here and get it done on this stage? I mean, what is so unique about what they were able to achieve last year is they did it away from home, they did it away from their family and their friends. So you talk about the motivation for a team to be able to come back and go back to back and do it again. There are so many little threads that Melbourne can pull on in terms of motivation.
And it was the first thing almost spoken about. How good is this? How great the celebration. We want to do it again for our fans. And they came back here in, I think it was November, and 33,000 turned up just to see it, and was great. And hey, the Western Bulldogs fans have been through this as well. They know what it's like. They perhaps didn't handle it as well the following year after their premiership in 2016. So the challenges are there. The challenges from a Melbourne or from a Western Bulldogs point of view.
Yeah, I've got a bit of an edit here on Zero Lab to show you, and largely around Melbourne's defensive structure. And they don't have the names that they had in the grand final last year, but they've got the structure. Here, they like to force the Western Bulldogs down the line. And I think the Dogs have been happy to take territory at times here. Cordy calling for McRae to go long down the line here. And these contests right now are where Melbourne have been really good over the last 12 months, and it's really what they've cut their teeth on. The highest intercept marking team of 2021. They wouldn't be happy with that, and Bont will get himself down the line, as will Tim English. They'll need to represent there really well, the Dogs. We've got Lever highlighted here, and it won't be Lever, but it might be May, it might be Smith, it might be Tomlinson who comes off. And this is where Melbourne set up really well. If they're not marking it, they're bouncing back off there. The Bulldogs need to outnumber at ground level and then swarm from there to go forward and really make sure it's a ground battle in their front half. That'll be the challenge for them tonight.
So for an intercept marking team like Melbourne have been so strong at, that's the key for them tonight, for the Bulldogs, to bring it to ground?
Absolutely. So they're both territory sides. They want to play the game in their front half, but the Dogs are going to rely on that ground ball in the second quarter in the grand final. They were +10 and they outscored the Demons heavily.
And the Demons struggled with that in that Amy Community game against Carlton. Their small forwards got a hold of them early. So 4 of their starting 6, I think it unsettles them to some degree. Just how much we're about to find out. So much footy's going to go through that man, Brownie. We know that. We know how highly rated he is. It's an enormous responsibility given the Josh Bruce absence.
Huge, yeah. Bruce kicked 48 last year, Norton 47. Drop away to Bontempelli 31, which is great for a midfielder. But then I'm looking around going, where else are the goals coming from? And obviously, he's a key target. He's going to have a lot of the Melbourne focus there. So can he get enough one-on-one contests where we know he's fantastic going third up and jumping across the pack? He needs some support. So the Bulldogs midfielders need to hit the scoreboard tonight and not rely on Norton to kick 6 or 7, because he won't kick that tonight.
The Bulldogs actually did a really good job in the grand final of not just blasting the footing and allowing Melbourne to win a set mark, because only was it 2 for the night, I think, in that back part of the ground. So yeah. The Bulldogs did their job, but you're right, absolutely critical for a player like Norton. It might not be your night from a marking and goals point of view, but you've got to bring those ground level players into the game.
I remember a couple of years back, the Bulldogs were not moving the ball and able to go inside 50 and score well enough. They really struggled with that last kick inside. They fixed that last year, and I don't think that's as much of an issue. They've got a pretty good spread of goal scorers, and the scoring power isn't so much in their individuals as in their swarm mentality and giving themselves that opportunity.
I wonder with Josh Shackey, Bucks, whether with that injury with Stefan Martin out, as Josh Shackey, who's played a bit defensively over the pre-season late last year, does he now go back to his original role at the Lions, and now the Bulldogs are playing as a key forward to support Norton?
They flirted with Cordy and Shackey. It'll be interesting to see how they line up. Hey, our Chemist Warehouse player in focus tonight is going to be Tim English, and he becomes even more in focus given the laid out of Stefan Martin and given the dominance of the two he's going to come up against. Max Gawn, the best ruckman in the competition. Luke Jackson turned the grand final on its ear from where I sat. This challenge is fairly and squarely at the feet of this man. You talk about we get impatient sometimes. These blokes take time. Max Gawn took time. Can he get there, this bloke?
Well, just looking at him there on screen, he looks like he's put a couple of kgs on. He's actually bulked up a little bit. He's obviously a big frame, which is hard to fill out. But in the last 2 or 3 years, we've really seen him come on. He's a big unit, and it does take time for those big fellas to grow into their body, let alone understand what they need to do in the game.
I thought he was going well, Rui, until he hurt himself in round 6 last year. He was playing well as a forward, fantastic when he went in there as ruck, in combination with Steph and Martin. From that injury on, from round 6, though, he just never got really going again.
I think the thing with a player like Tim English is he's looked really adept at both, hasn't he? He's looked good as a forward, and almost they played him as that more permanent forward at times last year, but it's a bit of jack of all trades, master of none, really, I think. So I think he's got to find a spot and really make that ruck spot his own.
I think he's a victim of their personnel at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
He's being asked to play multiple roles.
Yep.
If he settles as a ruckman and gets his pinch hits forwards, he'll be a very good player.
Find out. Let's find out about him. And I want to find out tonight. It's going to be a big moment for him. 19 points up. Marcus Bontempelli kicks a goal, puts the Western Bulldogs 19 points up. He's going to be a premiership captain and a Norm Smith medalist.
Yep.
Turns on its head, Christian Petrarca on the other side of the coin, rips the game to pieces, walks away with Norm. That's the magnitude of the quality of these two players tonight.
Yeah, well, so it was 100 points to 7 from that moment on when Bontempelli kicks that goal, which is still, guys, how do you wrap your head around that in a grand final? But these guys are both clearly stars. Their ability to go forward, that's the modern-day midfielder and actually impact the scoreboard, Bucks.
Exactly. The last 3 stats there. I mean, when you are able to impact in the front half of the ground, now you can pad your stats and get out the back and get touches that way, but these guys are clearance beasts, and then they go forward and they hit the scoreboard, which makes them so damaging.
I mean, that's how we measure now, I think, the modern-day midfielders, isn't it? At the real pointy end. And Dusty Martin, he was the genesis of it. His ability to go forward, win it in the midfield, but go forward and impact. And that's the standard.
The thing that has been lost to some degree was the Oliver role on Bontempelli. So Oliver sacrificed.
Second half, yep.
So we don't tend to play negative types on Petrarca, on Bontempelli. We're going to get to that stage. He had an impact on Bontempelli. I wonder whether they're just going to run around and do what they want. You did.
When does tagging come back in, mate?
I like it.
Far away?
Why wouldn't they?
Well, Dustin Martin was someone we just had to watch. You had to have someone assigned to him.
Rivalry, real or imagined? We touched on this after the start. It's been a theme through this. I can't believe one song has dominated what's going to be a grand final rematch. Take the song aside, it's been building nicely. There's been a bit of niggle on field. The fact is they're two teams that are competing for premierships now, so there is an inherent rivalry anyway. What levels it go to now, and how much stock do you put in the fact that the song's been pinched?
I think they're building a small rivalry, no doubt about it. I think anyway, when you come up against your combatants from the previous year's grand final, you do circle that date in the calendar. Obviously, it's happening in round 1, so you can get it over and done with early, but there's enough stuff on the extremities to suggest it's gone to another level. So that's going to be a challenge for the players, though, because can they go out there with controlled aggression? We had a similar feeling in 2002 when we came up against Essendon when, both teams were a bit hot. And we were reminded before the game that the team that remains the coolest under pressure with their aggression will come out the victor.
I love it. I love the fact that the song Freed from Desire has been spoken about so much. And
Gary was there singing it with him.
Yeah, Gary knows all the words. But from an interest outside those two football clubs' point of view, it's terrific that we've got that to talk about. But if you're looking at the Western Bulldogs, if you think they were taking the piss out of you, if you think they were sort of mocking you, that's fine. You can hate them for it. It can sting your pride. It can be all of those things. But as a source of motivation, it's not going to sustain you. No, it's the wrong source of motivation.
Let's not lose sight of the fact that you're 19 points up in a grand final and you've given up 16 goals to 1. That's the motivation.
That's it.
That's the embarrassment that's been lost a bit in this. And you can defer to the song all you want. If I'm the player, if you're the player going through that process and you're getting motivated by a song and not the 16 goals to 1 after having a grand final in your hand and having it ripped from you, then...
What are you expecting to get from Melbourne?
Brett doing the toss.
Well, one of the great joys of watching Melbourne in recent times, Bucks, is you know what to expect. Is that they're hard-nosed, they're uncompromising, they love contested footy and they're damn hard to play against, to score against. So toss of the coin here. You had to have a think about it, Lamont. He finally got there in the end. Yeah, so they were the pillars of what they based their game on. Only moments away from the bounce of the ball, boys. They sit in the box. You, as a coach, have done your what-ifs. Let's run through a few of these. There's Jason Johannesson laid out. Some sort of soreness in the pre-game warm-up, we believe. Hunter come back into the side. Ugle-Hagen this up. What if they can't get the match up for Fritz? 6 goals in the grand final. That's Dunstall-like.
It's Barley Fritz. He dominated the final series last year. It's Easton Wood was his opponent. He's retired, but I think now you've got to look at playing a key defender on him. He's almost like that marking type player, even though he's a smaller forward. So Zane Cordy maybe the matchup.
What if they can't get a ball to ground, the Western Bulldogs in their front half?
They need to get it to ground, and a little bit easier to do without Lever and Petty there, but they need to get it to ground and then hunt in the front half to give themselves enough scoring opportunities.
Oh, this is where the heart starts to go, Bucks. Look at you, the sweat's starting to come across your brow. You think you're playing. Keep an eye on some of these matchups as they unfold.